Hello and welcome to Around the Scene, presented to you by Playing with Rockets. I'm your host, Ryan, and today, unfortunately, I am going to be running this solo. Perino is just not feeling well, guys. He's been kind of feeling sick lately, and today, unfortunately, it's just been kicking his butt left and right. So, thoughts with him is he takes some meds and stuff and tries to get over it. It is not COVID, he has informed me, so he should make a recovery. He's just trying to get it all sorted out right now. But best wishes to him as he tries to get over whatever it is he's come down with. But the show must go on, so I'm gonna kind of be running this one today solo. So with that in mind, it might be a bit of a shorter show. I don't know if I'll be able to run for a full hour by myself, just because I don't have anybody to kind of bounce things off of. At this point, it's kind of more my musings on what I think of a lot of the predictions and stuff I'll be making here today. So hopefully you still can find some enjoyment here in the show. Would love to hear you guys' thoughts about some of the predictions as I go through them, and just kind of see what you guys think, because everything kicks off tomorrow for the 4 regions. We have the Asia Pacific region, South. We have the Middle East and North Africa. We have Oceania, and we also have North America. So quite a bit is going to be happening and unfolding this weekend. We're super excited about it, though. We get to finally see these other regions in action, and everybody's going to be running the same format. So that's super fascinating. But before that, guys, this is Around the Scene. This is your one-stop shop for all things Rocket League. If you like this, be sure to give us a follow, thumbs up, subscription, do all those things, because it does help us out quite a bit. You can also follow us at PWR_leagues on Twitter. You can follow me at PWR_Ryan, and you can follow Perino at Perino TV over there on Twitter as well. You can comment at us and things, and if you have any ideas of things you'd like to add to the show, we can definitely do those and consider those as potential additions in our next episodes and stuff like that. But without further ado, we have a whopping 5 items. This is probably the biggest episode we've done in a while, because things are finally happening. Outside of the RLCS announcement, there are a lot of things to go through today, so super excited about it. But we're going to jump right on into it. The first bit of news is that tomorrow on the Rocket League Esports subreddit, there's going to be an AMA with Psyonix staff. You can talk to a wide variety of the Psyonix staff there. I can't remember who all they said is going to be on it, but it's going to be people from the graphics department, from the art department, from the esports department. Like anybody who's a part of anything there is going to be in for that AMA, so you can ask them any questions that you guys may be having. Awesome. I'm super excited about this. It makes me happy to see Psyonix again getting more active with the community once more, kind of going back to their roots, because this is where I think Psyonix excelled as a company whenever they first kicked off Rocket League and Supersonic Acrobatic Rocket Powered Battle Cars, is that they were really good about listening to the community, engaging with the community. So I'm super excited about how things have been lately with them. It does feel like they're trying to go back to their roots and engage with the community in that same fashion again. But yeah, super exciting stuff. That is going to be over on the Rocket League Esports subreddit. That is going to be tomorrow, October 15th. And that is going to be starting at 1 p.m. Eastern time. If you do miss it, you'll be able to go back and check out all the questions and answers that were there. But honestly, definitely stoked about that. Again, like I said, you just get to hear more from Psyonix, and it's AMAs are always just a cool way to get some personality from them, but also you can ask some of the hard questions on things that you may want to know more about. Personally, I don't really know what I'd ask at the moment, but if you gave me time, I'd probably come up with something. So I'll probably be checking in on it. I have work and stuff, so I probably won't actually be able to, go participate in it, unfortunately. But, life goes on. It is a cool thing. So if you do want to be a part of it, though, again, that is Rocket League Esports subreddit, RL Esports, at 1 p.m. Eastern time. But yeah, moving on to our next topic, we have the Fall Asia Pacific South First Regional, and this is one of those new regions that I'm super excited to see more about. We don't really know a whole lot about how these guys play because each region has their own kind of unique style. And this is just going to be super interesting to see how this all kind of plays out for them and stuff. Definitely going to be intrigued, but we do have several teams who are going to be participating. I'm going to switch over to this screen so you guys can kind of take a look at things. Ignore the second slot that's empty down there. That is where Perino would normally be. But, we have several teams here. The thing is, though, is there's really not anything about the teams in this region and the Middle East and North Africa region, so there's not a whole lot to go off of, but the teams that we do have stuff to go off of are pretty solid for the most part. So total, there's really only 4 teams here that have any sort of record that you can go look up on Liquipedia, and I'm just gonna kind of go through my predictions, kind of walk you guys through my rationale based on what I've seen for these guys after like kind of doing a little bit of research, poking around. I can see if I'm making the predictions here, it's gonna be these 4 with the records. They're probably gonna be the ones who end up taking the top 4 positions at the end of this regional. By Sunday, I think that these 4 teams with records are going to be the ones who take the whole thing because their records are pretty good for what you see. And that helps a lot because you can know that, okay, these guys have gotten, 3rd, 4th. Like, these guys are pretty consistently the top 4, it seems. And so, coming in at 3rd, 4th, I'm predicting it's going to be Pineapple Cake, among all the ones that I can look up here. They had kind of the worst records. They were sitting at like 7th and 8th for several of them. They got 4th several times. I don't see them coming through and taking it. I don't think I actually saw any first place victories for them. And so, with that information, it's really hard to look at these guys and think, they're going to go and take this whole thing. Yeah, they have this 1st through 8th, but that doesn't really count for anything because that is the regional qualifier, or the closed qualifier, I'm sorry. So that doesn't really count for anything. Then we have, Hootie Hoo show match. That was a big one. We have the Oris Cup. But again, they're not taking 1st in those. They're taking 2nd. Otherwise, though, you're seeing a lot of 5th to 6th, 7th to 8th, 5th to 6th, 5th to 6th, 3rd to 4th, 4th. Their highs are pretty far in between here for 2021, and it seems like they only participated in a handful of events in 2020 as well. But you can look at this team all the way back to 2019. So this team has been around for quite a bit, it seems, for this region. But at 4th, I'm going to call Pineapple Cake here. That's just what I'm predicting here based off of the information that I've got. Taking 3rd, I am going to predict that is going to be Shoguns. Still not stellar records, but they do have a bit better outlook in comparison. You're seeing several 3rds, several 4ths, several 1st to 2nds, several 3rds. Like, these guys are consistently in that top 4 position. And that, is part of why I believe these guys have a good chance at taking it there. Do know, though, that, in August when they had the Oris Cup, they did lose to Pineapple Cake there, but aside from that one loss there, they do have a pretty consistent record of taking those top 4 positions. So again, that's going to be why I call them for 3rd, because even in their records, consistently they're taking 3rd and 4th. And again, this is a single elimination, so the odds of them taking 3rd, 4th, both of these teams taking 3rd, 4th, pretty likely if they end up on opposite sides of the single elimination bracket, because again, everybody is doing the exact same format. And to run through the format real quick too, I'm kind of running through everything, but the format is going to be the exact same across every single region. It's the Swiss bracket into a single elimination bracket that is going to run through Saturday and Sunday. The Swiss bracket happens to Friday, October 15th. That is tomorrow. So this is definitely going to be, that's going to be the interesting thing, is depending on how all these teams do in that will determine where they kind of end up in that single elimination bracket. So I'm making some of these predictions assuming that they're going to be very consistent in the Swiss bracket into that as well. But very well, all 4 of these teams could end up on the same side of bracket for all I know. So again, that's the interesting thing. I personally am a huge fan of the Swiss bracket. I really do like how it's kind of handled and stuff. But yeah, Shoguns, again, I'm going to predict them to be that 3rd, 4th place position there. Second place, I am predicting it's going to be One Esports. They have shown that they have a really good record in their own right. This is like a legit esports organization last I checked. But again, they have several seconds, thirds, fourths, seconds. They do have several first and seconds. I'm not sure what that is. I guess they're qualifiers. So they have several of those, which shows that they are up there. But you're seeing a lot more second place finishes here for these guys. And so again, I'm kind of going off of that. I think that they're going to end up second based off of that. And they do have losses against several, but the one team that you should take note of on their loss record is the 0-4 here against 3 Rats and the 0-4 here against 3 Rats again, because 3 Rats is who I am predicting to take this entire region, and they have been picked up. They got picked up on the day that me and Perino were originally going to record. That was the day that they got picked up. They're picked up by ALC now, and they have a stunning record. They just take a lot of first place finishes. ALC, it's not showing their the 3 Rats record, so I have to go a different way to get there. But if you look at 3 Rats records, boom. First, second, first, third, first, second, first. These guys consistently have taken down team after team in their region. And when you look at their results too, who is it that they're beating to take out first place? One Esports. They have a loss there against One Esports, but then they have another win there against One Esports. So out of the 5 times that they're taking on One Esports, they've beaten them 4 out of 5 times. And that has always, almost except for that one loss, it has always been to determine who gets first and who gets second. So that's what tells me that these guys have what it takes to step up and above the rest of the competition here in the Asia Pacific South region. So again, that's why I got to go for them. 3 Rats is now picked up by ALC, but if you try to go follow it on Liquipedia, it is a little bit messed up, because when you go to ALC, it doesn't display their current. It doesn't display 3 Rats record. It just displays that organization's record, which is incorrect. So you do have to kind of finagle your way as you look around. But definitely exciting. And again, you can see it right here. ALC acquire 3 Rats. So there you go. Not me making this up or anything. But it is extremely exciting to see this region. I'm hoping that I'm correct. I'm hoping that all this research I did was accurate. But just to reiterate, I predict that ALC is going to be your first place. I predict that One Esports is going to be taking second. I predict Shoguns and Pineapple Cake are going to be taking that 3rd, 4th place. So that's my top 4 prediction. I'm only doing top 4 predictions just because, again, when I looked at this region and I saw that I could only look up information on 4 teams, it just kind of fell in place that way. But again, we don't know too much about these other ones, but you can also assume that these rosters have been participating in those tournaments that we're looking at as well. They may just be made rosters and stuff like that. So that's kind of why I am going off of it this way. But we will see how it all pans out. Again, that all happens this weekend. And when we come back next week, we'll be able to find out how accurate I was or how far off base I was. I'm hoping that I'm doing you guys justice as you listen and I'm accurate, but we will see. Again, though, I'm just super excited. I'm super excited to see these new regions and, what their play style is going to be like. How is that going to perform at Worlds for them and stuff? Definitely going to be something fascinating to see. But that's going to be enough of that. We're going to move on to our next region, which is going to be the Middle East and North Africa predictions. Again, it's kind of the same thing that we saw there with Asia Pacific South. Is not a whole lot of these teams really have records. There's a few more, I will say. There were 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So there were 8 that had records, but otherwise none of them really did have anything for me to look up. But after looking through all of them, I do have my top 4 predictions here for them. And again, I could be totally off base because, again, this is that Swiss bracket into the single M bracket. So, all 4 of these teams could end up on the same bracket and totally mess up everything. But assuming everything goes the way I think it will, this is your top 4 that I'm going to predict for the final. I think that Sudor Esports is going to be taking that 4th place finish. And yeah, you look at this and you think, Ryan, that's not a whole lot of results. Out of 8 rosters that have histories, how is this the 4th place team? Well, the 8 that have records all have a record because of this beautiful thing right here called the closed qualifier result. That gave all of them a record and thus a Wikipedia page. So the other 4 either have 1 or 2 results, or this is their only result. And so again, going off of what we have here before us, they have taken 4th, 3rd, 4th, 3rd, 4th. Ignore that top one because that doesn't matter at this time. But there are 3 results that we do have consistent with a typical 3rd to 4th place finish is what you're going to expect from these guys. These are results from all the way back in March, April, and May. So you can kind of assume that there is going to be some accuracy there behind that. But yeah, so that's why I am going to be going for Sudor Esports as the 4th place finisher. Moving on to the next one, I predict the Ultimates are going to be your 3rd place finish. They have quite a bit more results, which is nice. The top 3 teams here all have a lot more results to go off of. But you can see these guys, they have several 2nd place finishes, 3rd to 4th place finishes, 1st, 2nd. They do have a couple, lower ones, but you can kind of ignore those because this is one of the teams that also participates against European squads. So you can see, like, even here in this qualifier, their loss is against, is it White Demons? Their other loss is there in the Europe 3v3. Some of their other losses are from Sandrock Gaming in their own region. But again, several of these losses that you may see are not from within this region. And so that's why I am going to be calling these guys for that 3rd place finish. Because they are going competing against European teams, unlike Sudor Esports, that's why I think these guys are going to have a better chance, because these top 3 teams all are a little more tried and true. They are going competing outside of the region. They were the top 3 who are really trying to drive the Middle East region up to this point, and now if they are a part of the RLCS, you can expect these guys are going to be doing a bit better. So with that said, though, I am predicting them to get a 3rd place finish, and you can already kind of see why I predict that as we go into our next one. The 2nd place finish that I'm expecting is going to be Falcons Esports. Now, Falcons, to take that 2nd place spot, they have lost several times to Sandrock Gaming. Kind of similar to what we saw there in the Asia Pacific region of, there's those top 2 who they constantly are duking it out, and that's just kind of how it plays out. But they have consistently taken 2nd, especially when they're faced against Sandrock Gaming. But they also have done well against the Ultimates. You can see they have victories here to take the 1st place finish there. They had a victory here to take the 3rd place finish. These guys have just done very well. And so that is why I'm predicting them to take that. They also, again, have experience outside of the Middle East region. So I think that they just have a little bit more of an edge over the Ultimates, but I could see those 2 actually going back and forth potentially. And so again, that's another one that we'll be seeing. And of course, who else could take 1st place spot for my prediction but Sandrock Gaming? This is the team that everybody has looked at as the team that could, and they have shown it time and time again. You take a look at their results first. They have a 7th to 8th. Ignore those lower place finishes because those are European tournaments as well. European teams are in these. So you can see here their losses against Giants Gaming. You can see that their loss here is against Zoom Zoom, which I believe is another European squad if I'm not mistaken. But then they have another loss here. It's against Empty. They have a loss against Semper. They have a loss against German Amigos, but they got a 3rd to 4th place finish in that. These guys have shown constantly that they can go out of their region and still be competitive. I look at these guys the way that True Neutral is, of leaving South America, going to North America, and they are still a very competitive team, it seems. They are still kind of in that top 8 placement, it looks like. I think that Sandrock Gaming has that capability too if they were to leave the Middle East region, and just because of the vast amount of experience these guys have, and just the roster itself. I mean, you have OK Khaled, who has been here forever. You have Ahmed, you have TRK 511, you have Senzo as the sub. These guys just know how to get it done, and they also were the winner for the Intel Open. They were the representative for the Middle East region as well, and they did that off a reverse sweep that didn't seem likely. So with all that said, I don't think you can go any other way with it for the Middle East region. I think it's got to be Sandrock Gaming for number 1. So to recap, I think that the top 4 are going to be 4th place, Sudor Esports, 3rd place, the Ultimates, 2nd place, Falcons, and your top team coming out of this regional is going to be Sandrock Gaming. So definitely gonna be exciting. Again, you know, we're finally getting to see more of the Middle East region. You only really get to see Sandrock Gaming, so it's a little tough to discern what their playstyle is going to be. You know, we don't really get to see this region to know what their playstyle is. So definitely going to be excited to see how that plays out. Moving on to the next region, though, we have OCE. This one we do have quite a bit more, information to work off of, but I still do have my predictions. Again, I'm going to stick with that top 4 prediction, just because that's kind of how things played out for me. But looking at these teams, we know a lot of these guys here. We know Ground Zero Gaming, we know Riot Gaming, we know Renegades, we know Direwolves, we know Juiced, we know several of these guys. But the 4 that stand out the most, starting with the bottom, I think that 4th place is going to go to Direwolves. Direwolves, compared to the other teams that I'm expecting to take this, when you look at their head-to-head against these other top 3 teams, they've lost against all of them. But when you start looking outside of the ones who I predicted for the top 3, they start having victories. And I think that's where this lends some credence for them. The results here are good, though. They have some 3rd place finishes, 1st, 3rd to 5th, 1st, 2nd, 4th. They have some good results, but when you start looking at who it is they're losing against and stuff, it starts not looking as good for them. And they do have some wins over these top 3 teams, but they have more losses once you look into the bigger picture of things, especially when you start seeing like they lost here to Renegades twice, 2 weeks in a row. They didn't manage to get out 4th place. They got 3rd here. This is just, again, I am predicting these guys are going to take that 4th place spot just because they don't quite stack up as well against the other ones who I'm predicting. So that leads me into my 3rd place prediction, which this one might come as a surprise considering how well that they have done in the past and everything, but I am predicting Riot Gaming is going to take 3rd here. After you look at their head-to-head for all of 2021 so far, they haven't done quite as well against my top 2 teams. They do better against Direwolves. They do better against Juice Bandits. They do better against all these other rosters. But the top 2, they do tend to falter a bit more, at least if you're just looking within this year. If you start expanding past this year, I think it's a little too hard because you don't really, the rosters may have changed too much by then. You could be looking at, there's only one original member from, back in 2020 or something. So keeping it within 2021 results, Riot Gaming does not stack up quite as well against these other teams, but they have shown that they've got what it takes. They have a lot of great placements, some great fourth, third, fourth, first, second. They have been a really, really solid roster, and they managed to take a solid look there in the Invitational qualifier. They did great for the Invitational to come into the main event here, but I still think that, again, when you're looking at the rest of the results, they just aren't quite as favorable. They have a loss here against Ground Zero Gaming. They have a loss here against Renegades. They do have a win against Renegades as well, but when you start going down a little bit further in this year, they do have more losses against Renegades as well, which leads me to my second place pick, which is going to be Renegades. I think Renegades will be taking second here because of the fact that there's only one other team that has done better, and they've traded blows with them, but it comes out in favor of Ground Zero Gaming over Renegades. But Renegades, this is a tried and true roster. These are guys who have international experience. They have been on LAN. They have played against the best of the best. And because of that, I have a hard time discounting that, especially when all these players coming in this time know what's at stake. And if you've been there before and you have had that experience, I think that you're going to be a little bit more driven because you want to taste it again. And I think that that's going to lend itself very well here for the Renegades. Despite how crappy their in-game decal is, they're a good team here for OCE. I think that they take second. CJ, Kami, Fever, I think that these guys have got what it takes. But at the end of the day, they do not have quite as good of a record against Ground Zero Gaming. I predict Ground Zero Gaming is going to be your Regional 1 champion here for OCE. When you have Express, Amphis, Torsos, Jimma, again, these are players who have international experience, and that really is what differentiated, those top two teams for me the most, is they know what's at stake now that LAN is confirmed, and they know they're going to be getting that opportunity again to get on the big stage. I think you're going to see these guys driven a lot more. And, again, part of why I'm going for this pick, you can kind of see it right there, but in the results, first place consistently. It's kind of hard to root against these guys. They have first, second place finishes. But again, their second place finishes are against Renegades. And so, it's a bit tough because you can see right here, the stretch of 5 times, they go back and forth. It goes Ground Zero, Renegades, Ground Zero, Renegades, Ground Zero. So it's going to be a little bit interesting. But when you look at their head-to-head, let me pull that up real quick. And let's go 01 2021. So when you check this, series wins, there are 8 series wins here for Ground Zero Gaming, 6 for Renegades. When you look at the game differential, Ground Zero's won 24 games, Renegades has won 21. These guys can trade blows back and forth. I think that things are a little bit more in favor of Ground Zero Gaming, which is part of why I'm leaning that way. But it very easily could go the other way. They're so close. They're neck and neck, as you can see right there. But I just got to give it to Ground Zero Gaming. I feel like these guys are doing a bit better. I feel like they did a bit better last season as well. So that is why I'm going to have to go ahead and give them my pick here. But again, it could very easily go towards Renegades. So just to recap for OCE, I'm predicting Dire Wolves to take 4th, Riot Gaming to take 3rd, Renegades to take 2nd, and Ground Zero Gaming are going to be your OCE Regional 1 champions. But, super excited. Again, more Rocket League. I like OCE, and I want to try and be more invested in watching how they play and, how their teams develop. And again, that's something that me and Perino have both talked about. We want to be better about is learning about these other regions so we can, be better at giving you guys information on all of them. And so that was part of why I tried to go and do some genuine research on all these teams before I came in with these predictions so that you guys have good rationale for why I'm making these predictions and why I think, if anything, the teams that I'm listing here are the ones that you should be watching because they've all got a really good outlook going into this and they have, sort of a record to back themselves up in why you should pay attention to them. So Again, that's why I kind of think that. But now we are moving on to our final region, which is going to be North America. And this one I haven't quite done as much predictions, but I do want to inform you guys to go check out pickstop.gg. So this is what you're seeing right now on your screen if you're watching video. Otherwise, you can just kind of listen to this and go check it out later yourself. But pickstop.gg, they let you go and make your predictions for these regionals and stuff. Unfortunately, right now it is only limited to North America and Europe. They are gradually building out their systems and stuff, so they are hoping to expand it to more regions, and especially because it's all going to be the same format, that makes it easy. So they will be attempting to roll out more stuff like that in the future. But you get some awesome stuff here. I was a part of their community making predictions last season, and I'm doing it again, and it is a very fun experience. So go ahead, head on over there. You can get your predictions in before tomorrow, and you can predict the group stage. If you don't get in before the group stage, you can go predict the playoffs. Just beware, you're not going to probably be top of the leaderboard, but you're going to still have a good time with it. It's a really cool way to, compare yourself to others' predictions. Like, did anybody actually predict that, Rogue is going to win the whole thing? If that was to happen, you would find out that, yeah, there are some people who believe Rogue's going to take the whole thing, but definitely a cool platform. So I'm going to walk you guys through some of my predictions here for the group stage, and then, give my opinion on who I think is going to take the top 4 positions again. So going through the group stage, they ask you to, go ahead and make your predictions on who you think is going to be coming out top 8 and going into that group stage bracket. And I believe that those teams are going to be FaZe Clan and Team Envy coming out at the top of the Swiss bracket. I think they're the two that go 3-0. Aside from them, though, I think, the regular kids on the block are going to be the ones making it into this bracket. I think you're going to see the General Energy, G2, Space Station, Shopify Rebellion, Team Envy FaZe. You're going to see all those guys because they are the top 6 for North America. And I think if you fail to see them there, it'll be quite shocking, honestly. So again, you just got to give it to these guys. They have shown consistency through and through. They did great in those off-season events, and they're continuing to do well here also. So I'm gonna have to call those 6 as surefire. They're going to the single elimination bracket, especially when you compare them against the experience for these other rosters. I just have a hard time believing that it could go a different way unless they just have a horrible day. I mean, we've seen Space Station have some really, really bad days. We've seen Shopify Rebellion have really bad days. We've seen Team Envy have really bad days. So I think that these guys could, but if they don't make it, it's because there was just nothing working for them that day. They weren't jiving, things weren't flowing. But I think if all these guys are playing semi-decent to their skill levels, they are making it clean into that single elimination bracket, which then leads you to that question of who's going to be the top 2 outside of those 6 who join them in being top 8. And my picks are going to have to go to Exet and True Neutral. True Neutral, I think that this is probably more of a optimistic pick. I really want to believe that True Neutral can come into North America and still be a competitive roster. And I do believe that their transition from SAM to North America is going to be a good one for them. I think that they will find a lot of success. I think the question becomes more of how soon do they find that success? That's really the bigger question, I would say. I'm hoping they start finding it in Regional 1. That'd be great. But just as easily, you could see Version 1, Sonics, Torrent, Ghost Gaming. You could see any of those guys pop off and do well. And you'll notice I'm leaving Rogue out of that. I don't believe that Rogue is a good team right now. I don't feel like they figured anything out. They flopped out of the Invitational qualifier pretty hard. In my prediction of them not making it, I was pretty spot on. They did not do well at all. And I believe that is going to continue here. I don't see them doing that well. I just don't feel like... I feel like the second you lose First Killer, especially with how much Taroko and Turinturo relied on him for everything, I think that they were just doomed for failure the second he left. As long as First Killer was with them, they were going to be a decent roster. The second he's out, things are, they're pretty shafted. So again, I don't think Rogue's going to do well. But I hope that True Neutral takes this one. I hope they do well. Exit, I'm kind of just giving this one to them because they did very well in the closed qualifier, and they did extremely well, or they did pretty decently in the invitational qualifier, and they did very well in the closed qualifier. They took a 3-0 sweep through the closed qualifier. They didn't drop a single series there. They looked strong, and this is also that roster that, we kind of saw bounce back and forth, last season. And again, like I said last episode, with that pickup of Percy, I think these guys are even stronger than they were before. And so I really, again, have a hard time wanting to pick against these guys. I was wrong in picking them for the invitational qualifier, but they still did make it here like I expected they would. So again, I got to give it to these guys. I think that they're going to do well. So those are my top 8 who are making it out of the Swiss bracket. 2 teams that I think are going to be eliminated immediately. They go 0-3. Team DVS and Integrity. And it's nothing against these guys, but at the end of the day, you look at the rest of these rosters, and they do not have rosters with a whole lot of experience. I mean, these are experienced guys, don't get me wrong, but when it comes to RLCS experience, playing against these other rosters that are here, they don't have it. And I hope that they prove me wrong, but as it stands right now, I have a really hard time believing that these guys take anything. I think that they are going to be your 0-3 record teams. I would love to see one of them prove me wrong and have it be Charlotte, Phoenix, or Rogue who goes 0-3. I mean, that'd be great. But just as it stands, I have a hard time going any other direction on that. So that's why I think that. And then outside of that, though, I think Ghost Gaming, Torrent, Susquehanna Sonics, Version 1, Rogue, and Charlotte Phoenix, I don't think they make it out of top 8. I don't think they make it at all to that single elimination bracket. And it's nothing against them. I think you really could swap any of those guys out with Exet or True Neutral. At the end of the day, I think all those teams are all so close with each other. I just feel like Exet and True Neutral are going to eke it out to make that top 8, but I could just as easily be wrong about several of those. I don't think I'll be wrong about Rogue. I don't think I'll be wrong about Charlotte Phoenix. But Version 1, Sonics, Torrent, and Ghost Gaming, I think they all definitely stand a chance to also make it to that single elimination bracket as well. So there you have it. Those are my predictions for the Swiss bracket. And again, you can go check my predictions for the group stage out on pickstop.gg. But outside of that, who do I think is going to be your top 4? Oh, man, that's where things get a little harder. Personally, I'm an Envy guy. I want to go Team Envy. They have done extremely well in the 2 off-season tournaments that we saw for them, the We Play Invitational and Wave Dash. They did great. They got all the way to the grand finals both times. They took a second place finish in the Wave Dash Invitational, and then We Play, they took a first place finish. I feel like Team Envy are going to continue that. They are a very consistent roster when they get things going. So I feel personally like Team Envy are going to make it into that top 4 position. Outside of that, though, FaZe Clan have been looking really good. They managed to do extremely well in the We Play Invitational, and that was with Dapper replacing Illusion. So once you have Illusion in the mix there, I think these guys excel even further. So I got to give FaZe Clan a nod here as well. I think they're going to go into the top 4. Outside of that, it does get a little bit harder. NRG, I think, have been a little bit iffy lately, but I still believe that they're a top 4 team. So I'm going to give that to them as well. And then this last pick, I think, is going to be a little bit more surprising. I think that Shopify Rebellion make a top 4 placement. They have just shown so much growth since last season. They were showing a lot of growth during last season, and they've been putting in the work during this offseason. So I feel like you can expect to see them in the top 4. They managed to take second at the We Play Invitational, which was a good look for them. G2 and Space Station. Space Station did manage to win the Wave Dash Invitational, but then the next one they were out. They lost, and they were out. So because of that, I feel like Space Station, when they're on, they are a stellar roster. When they're not on, you really don't know what's going to happen. And I think that is going to be the reason I have a hard time pegging them as a top 4 team here. So those are my top 4. How do I think they're all going to stack up? I think that it's going to be Shopify Rebellion and NRG, Shopify Rebellion and NRG take the 3rd and 4th place finishes. I think they're both solid rosters, but again, not quite getting where they need to go. And I think FaZe Clan takes that 2nd place position. I think, again, they did extremely well with Dapper, and I think once you bring in Illusion and we finally see these guys play together as a roster, I think you're going to see some magic happen on the field. But I think at the end of the day, Envy have looked really consistent here in the offseason. They've looked really good. They left last season with a bitter taste in their mouth, and it feels like they put in the work, and it has shown. They are the most consistent finisher over these last 2 tournaments. I know I'm basing a lot off these last 2 tournaments, but that's all we have to go off of, unfortunately. And I think that based off of that information, it bodes well for them, because those are pretty recent results against all these other rosters that we're seeing right here. So I do feel like Envy are going to be able to take it. But again, there's always room for error, especially with all these teams here. I mean, I think, again, these top 6 teams here, you really could see it go any which way to Sunday. But we're going to find out on Sunday what the final is for them. And I'm excited. I am just super excited that RLCS is back. And I can't wait to, dive on into it a bit more as we start getting results and we start being able to make these comparisons. Is there a team who's on the come up this season? Is True Neutral stacking up better than we expected? Is Xset falling off? Is Rogue way down the toilet? Are they actually doing better than I'm predicting here? We can all find out, very, very soon. And so again, I really want to keep telling you guys to go check out pickstop.gg. I know the guy who's making this. He's putting in a lot of work. He's trying to continue expanding it, making it bigger, better in every way he can. So please go show them some love. Go make your own predictions. The more people who are checking out the website and stuff, the better. So again, it's pickstop.gg. You can make your group stage predictions, and then as soon as the Swiss bracket finishes Friday night, you'll be able to go in and make your predictions for the playoffs, the top 8 single elimination bracket as well. And then you'll get to stack yourself up against everybody else. So it's going to be a cool event. Super excited. And yeah, again, I love those guys. And I just want to plug some stuff that I think is cool for you guys. And yeah, so again, this isn't quite a full hour. I tried to get this one to go as long as I could. I hope that you guys feel like I gave you some good information throughout this episode. I hope that you feel like I wasn't, being too biased with myself, and I was trying to back up, my reasoning fairly well. Trying again to approach this a bit more rational, trying to have the stats at our fingertips so that we can be more informed when we're talking about these different regions, these different teams for you guys at home. So you do feel like you're getting really good information on who should be those guys to stick out. Is it always going to be right? No, because it is Rocket League and anything can happen. Any of these teams can pop off and, kick everybody else to the curb. You just never know how it's going to go. But if we at least make you feel like you're going into it more informed, and you can go check out these new regions, and exactly like, oh, these are the guys I should be keeping an eye on, and we happen to be correct, that's great. That's at the end of the day, that's what we want to try and achieve for you guys, and we hope that we do. So this is that first step that we're trying to make to being more informed for you guys, like I said. And yeah, but best wishes to Perino. I hope that he gets better, and I hope that we're able to have him back next week. He's just really been getting kicked around by this. We tried to meet on Tuesday, and we got in the call, and he did not sound good. I had to tell him no, we're not doing it, because he was just so bad. But I'll be wishing him the best, and hope you guys will too, as he tries to recover. Again, it's not COVID, but it's definitely still something that's kind of hurting him a bit here. But other than that, guys, that's all I got for y'all today. Just another reminder, again, the Psionics Ask Me Anything question thing. It's going to be tomorrow, Friday, October 15th on the RL Esports subreddit. And that's going to be at 1 p.m. Eastern. So if you want to ask Psionics staff any questions, that is the time and place to go do that. But other than that, guys, RLCS this weekend, super excited. Hope you guys are too. And hopefully you go into the weekend feeling very informed and ready to go. But that is going to be doing it for us here on Around the Scene, presented to you by Playing with Rockets. I'm Ryan, and it has been my pleasure to serve you guys. Take care, enjoy the rest of your day, and I will see you guys next time. Peace out.